You ever feel like your social life is, I don't know, something that just happens to you, like you're not really in the driver's seat? Well, what if we flipped that? What if we started thinking about our relationships less like random chance and more like architecture? Today, we're going to look at two, let's call them missing blueprints for building a social world that's actually stronger and more resilient. All right, let's get into it. For social smarts, you know this quote from sociologist Ray Oldenburg just perfectly captures a feeling I think so many of us have? Modern life feels expensive. Not just money-wise, but in our energy, our time, our social battery, right? We end up pouring every single thing we have into our closest relationships, and it just leaves us feeling totally wiped out. And it turns out, there's a reason for that. We're missing some key blueprints for how to build our social world. So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll get to the root of the problem by climbing what psychologist Eli Finkel calls Mount Maslow. Then, we'll uncover the first missing blueprint, the third place. After that, we'll look at blueprint number 2, the relationship contract. And finally, we'll see how these two pieces fit together to build something much, much stronger. Okay, so let's start with the big question. Why do our most important relationships, especially our romantic ones, feel like they're under this just impossible amount of pressure all the time? Well, the answer is kind of fascinating. It's all about how the purpose of partnership itself has completely changed. Okay, for all the planners out there, check this out. It maps the history of marriage directly onto Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Think about it. For most of history, marriage was purely about survival, the base of the mountain, food, shelter, safety. Then we moved up a level to the middle of the mountain, right? It became about love and belonging. But since about the 1960s, we've been trying to climb to the absolute summit. We are now asking our partners to help us with self-actualization. We don't just want a partner anymore. We want a soulmate who's also our therapist, our best friend, and our life coach, all rolled into one person.
And right there, that's the problem. To get to that peak, to fulfill those top-level needs, you need a ton of what Finkel calls emotional oxygen. We're talking dedicated time, deep communication, focused energy. But let's be real, in our crazy busy lives, that kind of oxygen is in short supply. And the result is what he calls the suffocation of marriage, where these huge expectations are literally starved of the resources they need to breathe.
So if we're running out of oxygen, how do we get more? Well, our first blueprint isn't about trying to fix things from the inside. It's about building an external support system to take some of that pressure off. And it's a brilliant idea called the third place. Sociologist Ray Oldenburg came up with this term. It's pretty simple. Your first place is home. Your second place is work. The third place is, well, it's everywhere else you go to just relax in public and connect with people. Think about coffee shops, parks, libraries, barbershops, even that corner pub where you kind of know the regulars. It's the social glue that actually holds a community together. For settlers, so what makes a place a good third place? It's not just any old spot. Oldenburg laid out some simple practical ingredients. It's got to be neutral ground, so nobody's the host. It's a leveler, which means it doesn't matter what your job title is or how much money you make. Conversation is the main event. The vibe is light and playful, and, this is crucial, it has regulars. You know that feeling of belonging you get when you walk in and see a familiar face? For explorers. But here's the secret sauce, the thing almost nobody talks about. Third places are incredible at creating what sociologists call bridging social capital. What's that? It's basically building weak ties, connections to people who are outside your normal bubble. And it's been proven that those weak ties are absolutely vital for finding new ideas, job opportunities, and just building a healthier, more resilient community. It's a total social life hack. And honestly, just getting this concept is a huge step. You've just given a name to that weird feeling of disconnection you might have had. See, it's not some personal failing. It's often just the absence of these vital community spaces. And now you have a completely new lens to see your neighborhood and your own social life through. Okay, so the third place gives us that external support. But what about the internal foundation? Let's move on to our second blueprint, which is all about building a stronger partnership from the inside out. Let's talk about the relationship contract. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. A contract for a relationship, that just sounds so cold, so unromantic. It sounds like something you do for business, not love. And you know what? I get it. But just hang with me for a second. Because this isn't a legal document. It's not a prenup. Think of it as a tool, a catalyst for a brutally honest conversation. It's about taking a moment to sit down with your partner and drag all of those unspoken assumptions and hidden expectations out into the open. It's really just about replacing ambiguity with clarity.
So how do you even start this conversation without it turning into a fight? Here's a really simple, practical way to do it. 1. Define your needs in different areas and be super specific. 2. Use I statements. So instead of "you always do this," it becomes "when this happens, I feel this." See the difference? It's about your experience, not their flaws. And 3, and this is key, make positive requests. You're literally giving your partner the instruction manual for how to be your hero, which feels so much better than just being told you're messing up.
For social smarts. Because at its heart, this is what it's all about. A relationship contract is just you and your partner looking at each other and asking, what does being loved actually mean to you? And really, what's more romantic than that? Knowing this completely reframes the whole idea. And honestly, sharing this is a great way to start that exact conversation with someone you care about.
For strategists, and here's the science behind why this actually works so well. A contract like this builds the structure for something called emotional co-regulation. This is where two partners create a stable, two-person emotional system. So instead of arguments spiraling out of control, you learn to balance each other out, you create stability together. It's the strategic bedrock for a truly resilient partnership.
So there we have it, our 2 blueprints. One for building support on the outside, in our community, and one for building stability on the inside, in our partnership. Now let's put them together and see the whole structure.
It's really elegant when you see it this way. The third place acts like an external support beam. It gives your primary relationship breathing room and plugs you into a wider community. Meanwhile, the relationship contract strengthens that internal foundation, creating a shared sense of safety and stability. When you have both, you've built a structure that can actually handle the pressures of modern life.
That's the big takeaway here. You don't have to feel suffocated by the insane demands of modern relationships. With these 2 blueprints, you can make a shift from being a passive victim of social strain to being the active architect of your own social world.
So we've talked about the architecture for intimacy with our community and with our partners. But all of that rests on an even deeper foundation, doesn't it? What about the contract you have with yourself? What are your non-negotiables for your own well-being, your own growth? It's a pretty powerful question to sit with.
If this explainer gave you a new way to look at your own relationships, maybe think about sharing it. You might just hand someone the blueprints they've been looking for to stop climbing that mountain alone and finally start building something stronger. Thanks for hanging out with me.
If this touched your heart, please subscribe, like, and share it with your family. Save this for more meaningful content ahead.